Hello everybody, I'm your host Wheel Trouble, and welcome back. This is going to be another installment in entry problems. And before we get too far along, I want you to hit like, subscribe, and then share this with all of your friends. So I want to talk about the dangers of motorcycling. Are motorcycles dangerous? This keeps a lot of people out of the sport. So let's answer this right now definitively. The short answer? There's internal factors and external factors, and I want to go ahead and take this video to cover both. The internal or inherent dangers to riding, the first one I want to bring up is the rider. And that's because the rider is the largest factor in this whole equation. The rider's practice skill and experiences are brought all into this. As an example, I have crashed at least 100 times. I'm still alive, I've not broken any bones riding. But in most of these situations, it was during a closed course competition in a safe environment. High-end racing schools actually even have crash or lean bikes that are next to impossible to crash, just to give riders a feel for where the true limits of their machine could be. I also highly recommend the proper gear, because it isn't if you crash, but as I said before, I've crashed tons, it's when. Also, the rider's fear or your own fear will actually create poor habits, and many natural reactions and reflexes will actually cause you to get hurt. Yes, you heard that right. Your natural reactions want to kill you on a motorcycle. Middle of a corner, something going wrong, most people decide they want to hit the brakes. On a motorcycle, this actually ends up badly, as the brakes tend to force you to run wide, wash out, or even slide out. Instead, the good use of your throttle, yes, the thing making you go faster, correct steering, and body position will save your hide just about every time. Twist of the wrist and twist of the wrist 2 are must-reads for any kind of motorcyclist, and they actually recommend riding within about 80% of your limits. For me, I'm just going to describe that to you guys as your I got this zone. That's where you tend to learn the most, and it's where you're in the most control. That's because your fear isn't taking over. So again, you're riding where you're not afraid, it's your I got this zone. It's comfortable, but it'll still feel like you're almost pushing. Not really. Again, I got this. Also, the other factor I see a lot out of new riders is this whole riding under the influence of just about any substance. This is, I'm just going to say it, it's dumb, retarded, stupid, call it what you will. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of describe this to you because I know that there's this image of riders riding to some seedy biker bar, getting completely plastered, and then going for a ride. And while yes, this does happen, unfortunately, it's a very, very small minority. To put this in some perspective, my first encounter with moonshine, actual homemade Tennessee sip and shine, was at the Dragon. For those of you who are really new riders or new to my channel, the Dragon is largely considered to be one of the most dangerous roads in the US. It's got great PR. And what makes it huge is that danger, and it makes it to where every biker and their brother wants to go there. And so my encounter with this moonshine was laughably stereotypical for this place. It was brought by the Harley guys. Before they brought it out, they made a quick key check to make sure none of us planned to drink and ride. We drank until the quiet hours. Yes, the Dragon Resort has quiet hours. It's lovely. And then we went to bed. No riding for any of us that were around that fire. Now, of the riders that I know who have tried to drink and ride, the story always ends up the same way. I rode to the bar, got drunk, and then I got on my bike to leave and fell over in the parking lot. Yeah, that sounds fun. You're going to pick up a lot of chicks that way. Incidentally, that also accounts for about 50% of the crashes. Good thing is they're slow, and the only thing really bruised is your ego. Another thing that comes into play here is the condition of the bike. And while I certainly miss the raw power of a two-stroke and the ease of working on them, I don't miss actually working on them all the time. Anyone who's owned a two-stroke knows what I mean. You're always tearing apart that top end. A bike that doesn't seem like it'll make it or has been poorly maintained, hell, even bad tire pressure can create a whole snowball of hazards. Oddly, in spite of my ability to work on my bikes for the most part, this is why I tend to try to buy new and recommend the same for all new riders. Purchasing a bike or a car from a rider who didn't maintain his or her ride is just asking for trouble, starting usually with the most often neglected area that they just simply never looked at. If they never checked their tires, guess what's going to fail on you first? Your tires. If they never checked the spark plug, guess what's probably going to go bad? That spark plug. It's just the way it goes. Why? Because they were never maintaining it. So I often recommend checking for a maintenance log when you go to buy. Used is fine, but you need to know for sure what kind of bike this is. I mean, you need to know the life it has led. That also brings up the last point. Keep a maintenance log for yourself. That sounds funny, but it's a great gauge for work you need to do right before the vacation rides. This is things like tire pressures, preemptive oil changes, tire changes, fork oil, whatever your manual says is coming up. You can go, hey, it's almost time for that. I may as well knock it out so that when I go on this long ride, my bike will make it. The last of the internal or inherent dangers that I want to bring up is weather. This is kind of a duh thing. It's part of your driver's ed, so I'm not going to rehash it here. There's external factors as well. First one I want to bring up is the other drivers because you have no control over them. Best advice here is ride as if you were invisible. According to NOLO, that's NOLO.com, the single most dangerous situation for motorcyclists occurs when cars are making left-hand turns. This is 42% of all accidents involving a motorcycle and a car. Usually the car turning strikes the motorcyclist as he is trying to go straight. So, funny upshot of this is that statistics also show that the developed paranoia that a motorcyclist develops over time, translates perfectly into driving, making motorcyclists over 20% better drivers, according to a British study done by Equity Red Star. My apologies. Another thing that helps get you noticed is I use my blasted horn all the time just to get the attention. I'm not being a dick, but it's just to get the cagers to turn their head and actually acknowledge that I exist. That's all it's taking, is just getting them to actually see you and go, oh, there is a rider. The problem cars will tend to be the ones that you see starting to inch forward as you approach. I've gone so far as to actually slow to a stop and wave those stupid assholes through the intersection just to embarrass them for being impatient. It's better to do that as opposed to trusting their lead foot. Because again, like I said, they usually won't see you, so if they're inching, it's because they think the car that's slightly in front of you is all they're waiting on. And instead, they don't see you at all, they see that car. You'll develop these sixth senses as you ride more. The only reason you let off the brake when you drive is to gain momentum to accelerate hard. So, like I was saying, over time, you're going to learn to read that body language, and you'll understand other motorists and their intentions, usually before they even realize they're doing it. Oddly, I find the highway to be the safest in terms of motorists. It's 2-lane, everyone's traveling the same direction, and it makes it a safer area, even though the speeds are higher. Color options are a great fix as well. I know bikers love dark colors, I'm one of them, but the minute I swapped into a jacket that had just even a little bit of high vis, other drivers gave me an extra 3 feet. Kid you not. There's a whole bunch of fun accessories that people use to grab people's attention. It works well. Weather is also an external factor as well as an internal, so not going into this here. If you guys really want, leave comments down below, and I may make another video for this. I don't know. Animals are also unpredictable as all hell. Riding at night makes that problem even worse. Deer during rutting season, critters scurrying across the road, you've got no car frame around you, and that can turn deadly quickly. So, in conclusion, yes, riding is dangerous, but every danger that we've listed here can be mitigated through conservative riding and smart choices. Otherwise, riding's perfectly safe and even healthy. And I actually do want to cover the health side both mentally and physically in future videos, so don't worry about those just yet. Go ahead, hit like, subscribe, share this with all your friends. You can actually support me down on Patreon. The link's below in the low bar there. And if you want, hit me up. I'm always looking for sponsors. See you guys next time. Wheel Trouble out.